This is the moment that a UFC career ended. But the knockout blow wasn't delivered by his opponent in the cage. It was delivered by his teammate and his wife. This is the story of how a secret affair didn't just break up a man's marriage, but also cost him his dream. JP Buys lost his wife, his spot on the UFC roster, and his future in the sport. All while his teammate, Roman Dolidze, the man at the center of these accusations, has risen to main event status this weekend against Anthony Hernandez and a top 10 spot in the UFC middleweight division. How did one of the most personal betrayals in UFC history play out in the public eye? And what does it reveal about the brutal pressures that fighters face outside the cage when their personal lives unravel? Before the social media accusations and public collapse, JP Buys and Cheyanne Vlismas were an MMA power couple on the rise together. They were two young, hungry fighters chasing the same dream together at one of MMA's most prestigious gyms, Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. JP Buys was a talented grappler from South Africa, and his journey was one of immense sacrifice. He'd left his home country to pursue the pinnacle of combat sports in America. After falling short on Dana White Contender Series in 2017, he rebuilt himself on the regional scene. He credited Cheyanne as a major turning point, saying she helped him become more professional. In 2020, he returned to the Contender Series and dominated, earning a contract with a first-round submission. Cheyanne Vlismas, an American striker, also earned her contract on the Contender Series just a few months before JP. They were a unit, a husband and wife duo on the biggest stage in MMA together. They trained together, cornered each other, and painted a picture of a perfect partnership. To fans, it was a feel-good story, but behind the scenes, a different narrative was unfolding, one that would eventually involve a third person, Roman Dolidze. A formidable middleweight from Georgia, Dolidze trained alongside both JP and Cheyanne at Extreme Couture. He was a teammate, a familiar face, and no one could have predicted that he would become the epicenter of a personal and professional problem. In this video, we're going to take a look at just how this weekend's main event fighter, Roman Dolidze, broke up his teammate's marriage and cost him his UFC career. Stick around to hear the full story. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. What's going on, guys? As you can tell, I am on the road right now. Do me a favor before we get into the video, like and subscribe. The first sign of public trouble came in 2022, where Cheyanne Vlismas, who's normally extremely active on social media, announced that she had left the country to, quote, escape. To the fans, it was a cryptic message. They had no idea what it meant. But to her husband, it was the start of a public nightmare. Buys didn't hold back. He went on social media and made a series of explosive allegations, claiming Cheyanne was not just on a trip. She was in Batumi, Georgia, with UFC fighter and Extreme Couture teammate Roman Dolidze. Buys alleged that the two were having an affair while him and Cheyanne were still married. The accusation was shocking in a tight-knit MMA community, and the fallout was immediate. Cheyanne fired back, denying any infidelity. She claimed that their marriage had been troubled for a long time, and in a now-deleted post, made a stunning counterclaim, saying that they had only married to secure a visa for JP Buys. She pleaded for him to sign the divorce papers and let her move on. The online drama was one thing, but for JP Buys, the real-world consequences were devastating. As a South African citizen, his ability to work in the U.S. was now in jeopardy. His ability to work in the U.S. was tied to his marriage with Cheyanne Vlismas. In an emotional interview, JP Buys claimed that because of the turmoil, they had missed a crucial immigration interview, which he said invalidated his work permit in the U.S. Suddenly, he was trapped. He couldn't legally fight in the US or travel for a fight abroad. His career, the one that he had sacrificed everything for, was at a standstill. This story is a reminder of the immense pressure that fighters face inside and outside the cage. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of MMA's wildest stories of personal betrayal, do me a favor and click that subscribe button for more of the same content. While JP Buys was held back by personal chaos, his UFC career was also collapsing. The turmoil seemed to take a heavy toll. He was already 0-2 in the UFC. In June of 2022, he faced Cody Durden and was knocked out in just 68 seconds. The image of him unconscious on the mat became a brutal symbol of his downfall. That loss extended his winless streak in the UFC to 3. He fought one last time in August of 2023, suffering another first-round knockout loss to Marcus McGee, and that was the final nail in the coffin. the UFC released him with a record of 0-4 in the promotion. While JP Buys' career was in a free fall, Roman Dolidze's was the complete opposite, building himself up through the rankings with impressive wins. And despite all of the controversies surrounding Roman Dolidze, it seemed to not affect him in the cage. He went on a tear, racking up 3 impressive wins over Kyle Dawkins, Phil Hawes, and Jack Hermanson. His career skyrocketed, and he broke into the middleweight rankings, eventually headlining his first UFC main event. The contrast couldn't be more stark. As one man's career crumbled, the teammate at the center of the allegations was climbing towards the pinnacle of the sport. As of right now, August 2025, Dolidze is lined up to fight Anthony Hernandez on August 9th at the UFC Apex in the main event of a fight night. In the 3 years since, the lives of all 3 fighters have moved in vastly different directions. JP Buys has largely disappeared from the mainstream MMA world. After being cut from the UFC in 2023, he stopped competing completely. However, he didn't leave the sport behind. Instead, he returned to his roots in South Africa and channeled his experience into a new venture. He founded his own MMA gym in Johannesburg called JP Buys Martial Arts Academy, or JPB MAA. There, the former UFC fighter and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt now dedicates himself to empowering his own community and building up the next generation of martial artists. Cheyanne Vlismas' path also led her away from the UFC octagon. Following her public split from JP Buys, she fought one more time in the UFC, where she lost to Corey McKenna in December of 2022. Eventually, she would officially announce her retirement from the sport of mixed martial arts. In her announcement, she stated that she wanted to focus on her family after the birth of her second child, saying, "My kids will always be put first." While never officially confirmed by Vlismas or Dolidze, persistent rumors and social media speculation suggest that both children are Roman Dolidze's. And if you look at Cheyanne's Instagram profile, you can see that she is following Roman Dolidze, and she does have the Georgian flag in her profile now. Roman Dolidze continues his ascent. He's headlined multiple UFC fight nights now and remains a top-ranked middleweight contender. The controversy, while a hot topic on MMA YouTube and on MMA Twitter, has had apparently no negative impact on his career. He continues to fight and win, his star rising, while the man whose life he ruined in some ways has faded away from the spotlight. I cover a lot of UFC, MMA related drama on this channel, but this one is particularly brutal. It's a drama where allegations of betrayal were linked to a very real and devastating career collapse. JP Buys started his MMA journey with a partner and a dream. He ended it alone and without a contract. His career derailed by what he described as crippling personal issues. While we may never know the full truth behind these conflicting stories, the outcome is very clear. One fighter's career was destroyed while another's flourished. It's a dark reminder that for these athletes, the most damaging fights are not always in the cage. But there is a silver lining. I do have to say that I'm happy for JP. It's inspiring to see that even though he got the bitter end of the stick with his marriage and his UFC career, he still continued his martial arts journey. By returning home and opening his own academy, he's found a new purpose, helping build the next generation of South African martial artists. Does the personal conduct of fighters matter, or should their careers only be judged based on what happens in the octagon? Let me know down in the comments, and for more deep dives on the biggest stories in MMA, click that subscribe button down below. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society.